What does it actually mean to choose yourself? Because it sounds so easy, right? It's like, oh, I'm just gonna choose myself instead of people pleasing and going with the flow of someone else's life and plan, rather than listening to yourself and choosing yourself. But it's probably not as easy as it sounds like. Otherwise, we wouldn't always repeat the same patterns, right? In relationships of maybe self-abandoning, of always attracting the same unavailable people. So in this video, I want to talk about a few tangible examples of what it actually means to really choose yourself, and the action steps as well of how it looks like in your day-to-day life. Because we abandon ourselves actually a lot, maybe without even noticing, just because these patterns are so deeply ingrained and we've been doing them for such a long time, because they used to be survival patterns that kept us safe in the past as children due to whatever happened to us back then, maybe trauma or just life in general, and how we coped with life back then. We'll be going through 6 different ways to choose yourself, and I would say the last one is definitely the most important one and life-changing one. So stay tuned for that one. The first one is setting boundaries. Setting boundaries is super important. Being able to say no to things that don't really align with you or the version you want to become. And actually doing that without feeling guilty or overthinking or over-explaining. It's really about having loving boundaries towards yourself. So, for example, if you're like, I'm scrolling a lot on Instagram, or I tend to not really go to bed at the time I know would be good for me, set that loving boundary with yourself. Respect and love yourself in a way that's like, no, I actually honor myself. I'm gonna go to bed at the time where I know is good for me. And then the same thing applies to setting boundaries with people, whether that's family, friends, in relationships, even with strangers. Really important to be very clear on your boundaries and set them from a loving perspective towards yourself and the other person. The next one is self-trust. And that's obviously something, maybe that's, if you're not used to trusting yourself at all, that's definitely something that needs to be cultivated over time, and it might take a little while, but it's just one more way of choosing yourself, is trusting yourself and your decisions, trusting maybe your intuition as well, rather than the logical mind sometimes that comes in and gives us a bunch of reasons why to not do things, whereas you intuitively feel like, oh, but this would be the right thing for me, but then you don't follow that nudge because either someone outside of you said, oh, really, you think that's a good idea, or the mind chatter comes in, gives you like a laundry list of all the reasons why you shouldn't be doing something. So cultivating that trust within yourself, that if you feel a nudge and you're like, this is right for me, and then you follow through with that. The third one is self-worth. Obviously, that's a really big one. So many of us feel unworthy in some ways, but it's so important that we cultivate that feeling of worthiness within us, because we were all born worthy, completely worthy of life in general, of this whole existence. And if we look at babies, they don't really ask for permission, right? They're just like, I'm hungry, they shout, I'm uncomfortable, they scream. And they feel a need or a desire and they make themselves known. They don't overthink it because they're not yet programmed to all these limiting beliefs and stories and narratives we then learn from a very young age. Because they still know that I'm so worthy, I can just ask for anything and anything will be given. So coming back to a sense of deep worthiness within you in relationships, not accepting breadcrumbs or staying around just because we're scared of being left alone, things like that. Choosing to have relationships or connections, friends and family, where you do feel valued and respected. Then another way of choosing yourself is self-care. This is a bit more of the obvious one. We're taking really great care of ourselves. We're taking the bubble baths. We're eating healthy. We're drinking our matcha latte. We're going to the gym, right? It's an important part as well of choosing yourself. It's not the most important part. Again, that will be the last one I'll be talking about. But still, it's obviously we do want to take action and we do want to look after ourselves. And also prioritizing rest is really important. We have the tendency to work a lot and overwork and do all the things, or be super social, sign up to all the things that are happening. But rest is actually also a form of self-care and really respecting your feminine nature as well. If you're a woman listening with a menstrual cycle, then follow the natural seasons of your cycle, the ebbs and flows. Like around ovulation, you might have more energy and more social battery as well, whereas more towards in your luteal phase and while you're on your period, your body automatically has less energy, and that's biologically completely normal. So prioritizing rest during that time as well, or just any time you feel exhausted. Listen to your body and take care of yourself and listen to the signals that your body is sending you is also a really important part of choosing yourself. The fifth one is authenticity. So expressing your true thoughts, emotions, needs, instead of shaping yourself to be more likable or to get approval from others or to prove anything to others. You're not choosing a random costume and mask and this weird version of you that maybe appeals to others. You're choosing who you truly are at the core of your being, and you're also choosing who you want to become as well, right? If you're on this journey of self-development and healing. So you're choosing your wholeness and your authenticity. And the last one, as I said, the most important point out of all of them, the one that's really life-changing to choose yourself, because it's not so much about the actions you're taking. It is as well, of course, but the first step is also choosing yourself regardless how you feel right now. It's not about fixing and healing everything. You're already whole as you are. Obviously, there's some things and limiting beliefs and narratives in the way, but it's just the stuff on top of who you truly are. So it's about choosing yourself in every moment. Unconditional love for yourself. If you wake up in a bad mood, can you, instead of being annoyed by that and being frustrated that maybe it showed up again for the 100th time, can you have compassion for yourself and accept that that emotion is currently there? You can communicate with that emotion as well, or that feeling, and being curious about yourself of why it's showing up, what it needs. It's basically treating yourself as you would treat others, right? Usually we have a much easier time to be kind to others and really take care of others if your best friend, or even your child, or your partner, or whoever you love the most, if they would come to you with whatever issue they have, let's say they're super anxious or sad about something, and they would come to you and they're like, I feel all these things, I don't know what to do, it feels really uncomfortable. You wouldn't just push them away, right? You would probably sit with them, listen to them, explore what they need, if you can give something to them to make them feel better. So the most important part in choosing yourself is to do that for yourself in every moment, regardless of the emotions that are coming up. You invite them in with curiosity. You check in with yourself and ask yourself what you need in the moment. And you give that to yourself in whatever way that looks like. Maybe that just looks like being with yourself and sitting there and giving yourself space for a little bit to feel what you're feeling. Or maybe it's more of an action and something you want to do for yourself. We have the tendency to actually self-abandon a lot. If you think about, even during the day, you're super busy working and then you need to pee, or you're super hungry and you're just like, no, I don't have time right now, I need to work. And then 2 hours later you're like, shit, I still haven't eaten anything. Or, you promise yourself you want to go to the gym more and look after yourself, and yet you always find another reason not to go. I'll do it tomorrow, it's fine, whatever. All of these things, they will signal to yourself, I'm not worthy of being loved and being taken care of. It's important that you really look at these things, even like the smallest patterns you notice throughout your day. Look at them and see if you can give yourself more love and compassion in these moments, and if you can show up differently for yourself, and if you can choose yourself first.